Hello again, everyone. Edwin Learnard back once again in this YouTube astrological segment. I'm going to be talking about transit moon, sextile, or trine one's natal Pluto. This transit may manifest in feelings, emotions, needs, reactions, responses, and family. It could be in harmony with power and control in one's life. It could be where you have uh, good control over your emotions and you're not letting your feelings get hurt that easily at this time, and having control and power in terms of your family life. I don't mean in like a domineering way, being an overlord or dictator or what have you, but just being having the means could, to have your family when you need them, your home, being providing um, for yourself, subsistence, survival needs, being able to actually have your home and have what you need in it at this time and have your family members around when you need them. And it can be also a time where the moon is also about one's needs. So it's something where uh, you have more during this transit. Transit doesn't last for a prolonged or protracted period. It only lasts for about 10 hours on average if you're using a 3-degree applying aspect, 2-degree separation aspect. But it is a good, obviously, when you have a sextile or trine, of course, it's auspicious, it's a favorable aspect, and it can be a time where you could have more, I would say, more of a, since Pluto is about power control, being able to control reactions and responses, the emotional reactions where you're not over the top of the transit moon is in Aries as an example. It can be where your responses, your reactions won't be as assertive as, say, for example, if it was the transit moon was making an adverse aspect to the natal Pluto. Uh, it's also about, really at this time, since Pluto is about desire and passion, this could give you the right amount of desire and passion for emotional needs at this time. But the transit, moon, say, is in Aquarius. His emotional needs may be connected with astrology or astronomy or computers, the internet, social networking, innovation. At this time, it could even be providing tech labs for others. Some examples, and uh, it's also a time where it could be auspicious for the transformation of the home. If you're doing any kind of renovation, you're going to feel more like, and also just feel like making more of a transformation, and whether it's the home, whether it's the physical body. If you have the natal Pluto in the first house, it could be something connected to the physical body. The natal Pluto, um, if it's in the sixth house, it could be just in your general diet. Um, and the thing about this is, I mean, again, let's say if you have the transit, you have this transit, and you're making a renovation of your home. Let's say the natal Pluto is in Sagittarius. It could simply be adding an extension or a partition. Sagittarius is about expansion. Now, another thing too is that since Pluto is connected with death, it's more of a time where you may be able to control your feelings, regarding something, a person that has died, or could even be figurative ending. Pluto is about obliteration, destruction. If there's an ending, say the natal Pluto is in the seventh house, and if it's something with a significant other or an important friendship that has come to an end, this is the time where you'd be less likely to be overwrought emotionally, or you're less likely to have any over the top of distorted emotional reactions at this point in time. And it's something to where it could also be a time where you can express more care and sympathy, I would say, too. It's a good relationship with the moon and Pluto, where you could express certain care and sympathy toward somebody that may have passed away, whether it was recent or it was something it was at some point, some time ago. Pluto is also about crisis, so it could be a time where your mother, the family, people you're close to home with may be more supportive for you during a time of crisis if you're dealing with upheavals and crisis at the time of this transit. And the natal Pluto's in the second house. It could be one of a monetary crisis that you may be going through, as an example. Now, anatomically speaking, Pluto is associated with the colon, the prostate, bladder, and reproductive system. So this could be a time where if you have any of those issues I described that are anatomically connected with Pluto, you could be more in the mode, feel more like doing something about them. Whether I don't know if there's anything where rehab could apply to any of these things, but if you have to treat it somehow, whether it's going to a physician, whether there's anything at home that can be done as far as your medicine, if there's any things that could help alleviate the situation, at least with these things, this is where you might be more in the mood and more up to doing something about it, more emotionally up for this at this time, as opposed to how you ordinarily would feel about dealing with something with these issues. Now Pluto is also associated with shared resources. So this is a time where you might feel more like giving in this time if there's something, or putting yourself more involved. And if you're in a shared resources situation, whether it may be a business partnership or what have you, might be more of a time and opportunity where you're going to feel more up to doing something. You're going to have more of that mood to do things that are associated with this at this point in time, more so than usual. The natal Pluto is in Scorpio and under the 8th house. It could be some kind of, maybe you're in a business, taxes or insurance with somebody, as an example. Now, Pluto is also associated with support, whether it be moral, emotional, or monetary support. And this is the time where you may feel more like giving it at this time, more so than you ordinarily would. And it could also be a time to receive support from home, family members, prominent women in your life at this time as well. And the thing about this Pluto is also associated, again, it's with insurance and taxes. So if there's something that if you've been procrastinating on something with insurance or taxes, this is a time where you'd be more apt again to feel more like doing something connected with it, to be more in the mood, to feel more like doing something associated with these things at this point in time. And you also again you might be more apt to get support if you need monetary support, as an example, from a home or family member in these matters. This could be a time where it would be more auspicious for that. And Pluto is also about corruption. So if you're dealing with some kind of crime, corruption in your community or your neighborhood, again, going back to the moon being about caring and sympathy, this is a time where you might be able to get that support from other people at this time, whether it could be people you're close to home with, family members, what have you. If the natal Pluto is in the 3rd house, it could emphasize something in your neighborhood. Maybe you have a neighbor that's been a victim of crime, and you're hoping nothing's going to be happening to you next, as an example. But anyway, now another way this transit may manifest is that you may feel, which is the moon, more like doing something very passionate, which is Pluto, about. Now, let's say, for example, if the natal Pluto is in Virgo in the 5th house, like I have, it could be doing something with analytical or very cerebral, which is Virgo, enjoyment, which is the 5th house. It could be extrapolating sports data. I like to project numbers and do my football predictions on another YouTube channel. And another thing too is that the mother and family, which is the moon, may be more in favor of what you want to end and obliterate, put to a figurative death, which is Pluto. Let's say, for example, if the natal Pluto is in Scorpio in the 7th house, maybe it's an extreme, which is Scorpio, sports, competition. 7th house is about competition. Hold on a moment, people. Sorry about that, I'm back. But anyway, it also can be an auspicious time to respond, which is the moon, to a crisis, which is associated with Pluto. Now, let's say, for example, if Pluto is in Sagittarius in the fourth house, there might be some situation with the law, which is Sagittarius, maybe affecting your safety and security if the law is not doing what they're supposed to, or they're not giving you enough protection if you're in a bad neighborhood, as an example. Now, another thing too, another way this transit may be expressed as an example, it could be very easy to express your feelings, which is the moon, regarding crime and corruption, which is Pluto. Now, let's say, for example, let's say if the natal Pluto is in Scorpio in the 11th house, maybe there's some kind of coercion or bullying, which could be Scorpio, which is online, which is the 11th house. Anyway, people, that'll conclude this YouTube astrological segment. Until next time, Edwin Learnard saying stay well.